And while I was in Los Angeles, I went to see Dennis Soloman King, who's a songwriter. And he suggested we should go and pay a visit to his friend, Ralph Cooper. Now, Ralph was a drummer in the famous Australian band Air Supply. Ralph toured with them in the 70s and 80s and played on all of their top 10 hits worldwide. And such songs as I'm All Out of Love, Lost in Love, many hit records. So anyway, we went along to see Ralph, and he was kind enough to tell us a few stories about his time in the band. And he got Dennis to explain how he got started in the business and how he invented the internet musicians site Bandhug.com.
I'm lying alone with my head on the phone, thinking of you till it hurts. I know you hurt too, but what else can we do? Tormented and torn apart. I wish I could carry a smile on my heart for times when my life seemed so low. Might make me believe what tomorrow could bring, when today doesn't really know,
So, Dennis.
Yes.
Bandhug.
Oh, Bandhug.
But
yes.
we're not going to go there yet.
Okay.
So the question is, what's your backstory? Where did you come from? How did you get into the music thing? How did that evolve?
My dad would always play guitar when I was younger, sing and play, and I always thought it was cool the way he did stuff. He played a lot of Johnny Cash.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then
Great.
He wrote a couple songs. Even talked about how he published one once, and way back in the 50s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was growing up, and I just started fiddling with the guitar. I think when around 16 or 17.
So it's always been guitar.
Yeah, played around with guitar.
Nothing else, just guitar?
Guitar, and I would write poems, and so I kind of tried to put my poems to the guitar and played by myself. I didn't play with a band, and I tried to play other people's music and never really got into it, so I ended up just playing my own stuff. And I did that for a while. And I would play around with the electric guitar. A friend of mine came across an old beat-up Gibson Les Paul that from the 60s, and I had it totally redone, paid for it. I remember doing that, and then just started playing around with the electric guitar for the longest time, and then went back to my acoustic. And I'd write my own songs, and I'd come up with an inspiration for a new song, and say, I know the words, and I didn't try to put it to music. So
you more gravitated towards writing your own material rather than copying or playing other people's material.
That's correct.
Oh, that's interesting.
Then I didn't, I got involved with getting married and having kids and raising a family and working. And I didn't play much. I played every now and then. I play stuff, give my own, my own little concert to my kids, to my family, whatever. But then I started playing around with karaoke. Ooh, that was fun. Then I went to karaoke bars, and I would
singing or
singing,
just singing,
singing. Yeah, I'd sing other songs, and then I went crazy. I started buying the karaoke equipment. I would bring it home and practice.
That's fun, though.
Yeah,
that's fun.
So, did that for several years, and then one time, I think it was about 2016. 2015 or 16, I decided, well, I'm getting old. I want to maybe do something with this, see if there's anything to this music that I wrote. So I started recording it, and I even went online. So it's this published thing. So it's just me and a guitar, and I published a couple things, and then I started looking. Well, maybe I need to collaborate with other people. I need maybe add some more stuff to
This is kind of how Bandhug evolved?
Well,
or?
then I went to, and I started looking for sites, stuff where you might find collaborative people you could work with.
Right.
And I came, tried out a few different sites and whatever, and I came across this one website called Bandhub.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that.
And
site.
I started singing on that, and started singing like I do with karaoke, and only I was doing it with other people playing. And that's how I got started in Bandhub.
Say now, who do you think you're fooling? I'm a consummated man. See, my mama loves me. She loves me. She get down on me, so like me. Oh, she loves me like a rock. She rocked me like the rock of ages. She loves me.
And then I started playing my guitar on Bandhub. It took me a while because I was like real shy. And
But that interaction with other people was the key to...
Right, and I got people who joined in with me. And one of the things I seemed to be pretty good at was writing lyrics for other people. I'd hear other people originals, and I'd say, "Okay, here's a track with lyrics." I sang it, and I did that several times and became pretty good at it. And I did it on other websites too. I did it on Compose, which is pretty much all originals. Bandhub was a combination of video and audio, where like Compose is just audio. And then there was BandLab.
Was that a completely different website? Same principle, same idea?
They tried to do it. A lot of people, but it wasn't the same. It didn't feel like a community. With Bandhub, it was like a community.
Yeah, you had more contact with the people, or how did that work?
Oh yeah, because you comment and there's private messaging.
Just more interaction.
More interaction. Only it was very anonymous. So you never knew what the other people. You knew what country maybe they were from, and you mentioned you'd read things on the comments on how they were doing stuff, and where they're from, and what's going on in their life, and what have you. And so it became sort of a social platform.
Right. So it actually is bigger than just the music. It's more of a community kind of feeling to it.
Right. And then I had a Facebook account, but I rarely used it. I was never on it. And then there was this announcement that there was this big thing going on, and from the founders of Bandhub, and a lot of people said, they said, if you want to know more, go on to Facebook. So, and they went on to Facebook. I signed on after, many years, and I looked at it, and I joined the group of the Bandhub group that was at the time discussing the rates and how much to charge and what have you. And a lot of people said, no, I don't want to pay that much money, and things like that. And finally they just
so Bandhub back then was not monetized at that point.
It was.
It was, and there was a subscription fee? Or?
Yeah, subscription fee. You paid $10 a month, or I think it was $86 a year.
Okay.
And they wanted to raise it.
That doesn't sound unreasonable, but
no, but they wanted to raise it to like $20 a month.
And that's where people...
Oh, they were balking at it, and it was a big problem. So they just finally said, oh, well, we're just going to close the doors.
Wow. Okay.
And so they closed the doors, and several of the people on the Bandhub group, the Bandhub pioneers, they broke off and created their own group to try to come up with a solution to fix for another website that was just like Bandhub, only do it so it's feasible.
There was a community there, and they didn't really have a place to go now.
Right. So there were several options we tried. It was called Bandhub Muse. And it started by one of the girls. Her name was Linda McBeer. She was really a spearhead in trying to get things rolling on this. And we even interviewed another website called Jamly, who was sort of like Bandhub in a way, but it was real cheap and needed a lot of work. And we were trying to get them to come in and have the owners of Jamly come in and talk to us. We tried to invite other people from other sites. We sent emails to BandLab about adding video. Somebody would use Bandlab instead of Bandhub, and there was another.
None of that gelled.
Nothing.
Right.
And then I think there was another website called Our Jams. It was sort of like Bandhub, but it was cheap, slow, and it was pathetic. Nobody liked it, and they died. I think a month after Bandhub, they closed their doors. So
at that point, there was pretty much nothing.
Nothing
like that.
Nothing like that. Nothing with video and audio.
Oh, okay.
And it had that community feel.
Says her love for me could never die. Without a change, if they ever found out about you and I. Oh, but her love is gold. It wouldn't hurt it if you didn't know. 'Cause when it gets too much, I need to feel your touch. I'm gonna run to you.
So I started searching for templates. When you start a website, a lot of times you start with a template.
Right.
And I needed something that would handle video. And first I started looking at WordPress stuff, and there was like nothing in video in WordPress, nothing.
There's got to be some major bandwidth issues, right?
Well, not really. It was not really a bandwidth, because really you're doing it on the browser.
And
I didn't know that at
it's
the
streaming.
time.
It's mostly streaming technology? Or?
Right. So what I wanted was a way to record the video and try to do that through, one of these websites like Wix or something. It was like next to impossible. So anyways, I started floating around looking at video templates, stuff that would do movies.
Right.
And other videos, and I came across this one template, and I said, okay, I looked at it, and it said it had messaging, it had commenting,
wow,
it had video playing, it had a lot of the look and feel of Bandhub. I mean, there was a lot of stuff there, and I said, okay, I'm going to try this out.
The core technologies were in there.
So I started a website called Bandhub Club, which was a kind of a tribute to Bandhub, to where people could post their videos and watch them and do the commenting and so on. And I said I started tinkering with it. In fact, I put on the Facebook thing. I said I've been tinkering with this website, and so I got a programmer, and he was helping me, customize it. And I had it on this little tiny computer. And it was coming out of right out of my house, right out of my computer. And it was using Windows, not Linux. So, in any case, I asked everybody to test it. Could you please test it? Play videos from everywhere in the world, on the globe. Tell me, is it too slow? Because everyone kept saying, "Oh, you need to host it because of bandwidth and all these different things." And all I got was good reviews. I said, "Wow, it's playing. It's
working.
It's working."
Yeah.
Okay. So now I went to the next step. I said, okay, well, maybe let's start looking at this stuff about recording and doing stuff on recording. So we could do some little miniature recording, and we figured out how to, through trial and error, how to do the recording online. It's not really online. It's actually through your browser, so it's on your local computer. So we did that, and we started coming up with the ways to create what they call the multi-tiled video, and what have you.
Right.
And
at this point, I'm getting lost.
Okay.
Right?
All right. I'm sorry. No. So we would experiment with. So we would record the video, and then we wanted to make it more than one video, so it would be more than one track. And we started out with just video and video and audio together with MP4s, and it didn't go so well. We had a lot of problems, and with combining the multiple videos to create the.
Was it bandwidth issues? Was it mostly bandwidth stuff?
No, it was my CPU that I was using on the computer, and I realized
Just
when I
not
was
enough horsepower.
just not
to
enough
run the whole
horsepower.
thing.
So I said, okay, this is good for watching videos, but not for recording and creating content.
I see. Yeah.
So I need a lot of CPU power, I need RAM, I need hard drive, I need a lot of stuff. So I said, am I going to do this with Bandhub Club, or am I going to start something new? And I started a group on Facebook, and I called it Bandhub Club, and I asked people to join in. I said, give me your thoughts, what should I do, should I try?
Yeah.
You know, and so the consensus was, okay, start a whole new site.
Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Lonely days are gone, I'm a coming home. My baby, she wrote me a letter. I don't care how much money I gotta spend. Gotta get back to my baby again. Lonely days are gone, I'm a coming home. My baby, she wrote me a letter. Well, she wrote me a letter, said she couldn't live without me no more. Listen, mister, can't you see I gotta get back to my baby once more? Anyway, yeah, give you a ticket.
So I started the site, and I didn't have a name for it. And I asked for the people in Bandhug, the Bandhub Club, to come help me come up with a name for
That's
it.
great, right?
And there were a lot of suggestions, a lot of things. I even, had a name, a drive. I call it Band Practice, but I couldn't.
Also a good name.
Band Practice was available for like $4,000, but I had to put the dash in there, so band-practice.com. So that was what I came up with. And then one of the users said, Carol Grand, who lives out in Argentina, and she said, I have a website name, it's called Bandhug, and you can use it.
Oh, wow, great.
And
Great.
it was kind of a funny thing, Bandhub, Bandhug,
Right.
People were saying band, huh?
Yeah. No, that works.
So we went on continuing developing, and we figured out how that we couldn't do videos. We had to break it up. In order for it to sync up halfway decent, we had to use separate audio and video. So we started out with MP4, MP3, but then we went from MP3 to .ogg.
Okay. Is that an Apple format? Or
No, that's an audio.
just a generic?
Audacity. format.
Audacity.
Yeah, it's an
Okay. Open source.
open source. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's what Bandhub used, as we found out, because we were
Right.
finding out all these hidden files in Bandhub
Right.
on our computers, and they were
I would
all
think
OGG files.
Right. A lot of it would have to be open source, I would think, because the costs would be
Oh, yeah, it is.
insane if you had to create all that technology yourself.
Everything was open source, but everything we did to do the recording and do the stuff, we had to create from scratch.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and that took a lot. And when we first opened, hardly anything worked. It really didn't
Sure.
work.
That's pretty normal for a startup of any nature.
Right. And so we started with Bandhug and got all these people that came on and said, oh, things aren't working, and they left. But some stayed and helped me work out the kinks, and we started out slowly. And I remember one time we opened it up to the people to do the testing in December 28th, 2019. And I think by the middle of January, January 17th or 18th, I'm just like, oh, this is too much. Maybe I should just quit, what have you. And because nobody did was working.
Primarily, you were doing everything.
Well, I was doing a lot, but I had a lot of guys doing other stuff. And,
Right.
And the people were trying, and it wasn't coming out, and people were complaining and what have you. And I'm just like,
It's getting
okay,
overwhelming.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This is like, okay. But then there was this one guy, Javier, out in Europe somewhere. He did this one video of all of himself on a Beatles tune, and it came out so incredible.
Using the
Bandhub.
website.
Yeah. And I
see.
was like, that gave me so much hope.
Okay.
And
Got it. Yeah.
I started working harder to
Right.
that
was a good motivational
It was a
thing.
motivation thing. And
This boy wants you back again. Oh, and this boy would be happy tries to love you, that old man, that boy won't be happy till he sees you cry. This boy wouldn't mind the pain.
Sometimes I look at these videos. Back then, I looked at that video and I said, and a lot of times since then, I look at a video, how great the video turns out. The music is perfect, sounds wonderful, and I look at it and I say, you know what, I had something to do with that.
Oh, sure.
So there's a sense of accomplishment there.
Absolutely.
Every time I see a really good video,
Right.
every time I see somebody, complimenting, how good the video was and how good the sounding it is and what have you, I had a
And
part.
how is the site running now? How is it working now?
It's very stable. We've got a few kinks, a lot of things I need to change, but when
It's
you
an
run-
ongoing process, I guess.
It's an ongoing process, and right now we're just running low on funds for development. Somebody this morning just said, "Hey, I really want to get a certain feature, and I've mentioned this before, and what have you. What does everybody think?" And I went on there and said, "Hey, it's on the list of things to do.
Sure.
We just don't have money for paying the programmer right now." And I said,
Dennis is looking for funding, everybody.
"Yeah." So I said,
Hint.
"It's on
Hint,
the
hint.
list. So as things get better, it'll get done. It
Sure.
just takes time
Sure.
and effort." So people don't realize every time when the beginning, somebody said, "I want this fixed," or "I have this problem," or "I'd like a feature," I would do it right away.
Yeah.
And I would.
But it's prohibitive, expensive.
Well, I was willing to spend the money. Right now, it's
Right.
it's a lot tighter.
Sure,
And we
sure.
had one donor who was giving us a decent amount of money every month.
Right.
And I was using that for programming.
Right.
And so, but now it's all me again, and
Right.
because the donations aren't enough to cover, they cover
Yeah.
the monthly cost, which isn't very much,
Right.
because
But you want to
I
keep-
have my own servers.
Right.
I don't host it anywhere.
Right. Okay.
I did entertain the thought of hosting it, so I went to Amazon, I went to Microsoft, I went to Google.
That sounds expensive already.
For the amount of power that I need, the CPU power, just that alone, it was like $2,000 a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then to add all the storage and what have you, now
Sure.
you're talking,
Sure.
$3,000-$4,000 a
Can't
month.
do it that way. Right.
And that's where the founders of Bandhub got into trouble, according to them. They just couldn't
Support the platform.
support with all the costs.
I understand.
So we have our own servers. We've built our own. We've done everything from scratch for the most part.
That's wonderful, though.
And we customize the site as we need.
That's great.
I have a dev site, which is short for development, where we try to do things first and then bring it over to the new place.
Is that available to the public to see, or is that just
Sure,
for you?
they could go there. Anybody could go
You
there.
should tell them what the address is
Oh, for the dev site?
for everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, dev site, it's only as of January of 2021, but bandhug.com, it's open to the public. If you want to create anything or comment, you will need to create a login. There's still talk of charging for the site. A lot of people say we're going to need it. I think if we're going to continue, we want to continue with development. The iOS app has been a real big problem financially and development. We would need a lot of funds for that. So, but
You're reaching
charging,
that point where you need support.
yeah,
right?
charging people. I'm trying to do the math, and it's not enough. Even if I start charging people, it's like, okay, I'm still not. I don't think I'm going to make enough.
Right.
So it's half a dozen one, and
Sure.
you know,
But you've created something very unique, and it's stable and it's working right now,
yeah, it's working.
and it's ready for business.
It gives you so many different options. Things like in Bandhub, you didn't have the option of uploading your own stuff.
Okay.
So you could record it offline on whatever you wanted and then upload it on Bandhub.
Right.
Bandhub, you never could.
Right.
And if something got out of a tweak on Bandhub, there was no real way to fix it. So even though we do have some synchronization problems, we give you a way to fix it easy. And it's we give you the tools to try to make things better. and whether you want to do it offline and then upload it or do it online. We try to do everything we can, and I've tried to express that to a lot of people. It's like I just read somewhere this morning, this one girl said, I wish I could get over this delay sync problem, and I haven't responded to her yet, but some people have figured out that's not a problem anymore.
Okay.
So
you just need to do it the right way, basically.
that's right, or do it, not just to do it the right way, but even if you did, the amount of sync problems is going to be about the same every time you record. So if you're off by like 0.6 milliseconds, you can always adjust it right after. Boom, bring it over to point, just over, so you can kick it.
Great.
So
Dennis, thank you very much. I think we've covered quite a lot of topics here.
okay,
Thanks, Dennis.
thank you.
Thanks for telling us about bandhug.com.